So I've come down today to the Youth Climate Strike, which is taking place in London as well as thousands of cities around the world. And firstly, I'm really inspired to be around so many people who care. I've seen like 12-year-old kids chanting, demanding climate justice, which is so wonderful. And I'm very inspired to be around so many people who actually give a damn and want to stand up to help the planet. But that being said, I also believe in individual responsibility and individual liability. So I'm going to engage in some conversations with people, ask them about why they're here, but also ask them about what we can do as individuals to help alleviate the damage caused by climate change, and hopefully encourage people to go vegan for the animals and for the planet as well. All right, guys, why are you here today?
Bunk college.
To bunk off college?
No, I love the environment, because I love the environment.
We want to stop global warming, because global warming is bad.
Reduce overall CO2 emissions. And
name some ways that we can reduce emissions.
Well, that's for the government, we're just here to protest. They figured out, they got a scientist.
Let them do the hard bit, right?
I'm not smart, they figure it out, we just got to tell them to figure it out,
Oil companies.
Yes, good.
Yeah, what he said, I agree.
Cutting subsidies to fossil fuels.
Yeah.
What about what we can do in our day-to-day lives?
Electric cars.
Electric cars?
Yeah.
Plastic.
Yes. Plastic? Yeah.
Don't litter.
What else can we do to help the environment in our day-to-day lives?
Assault not David Cameron. Boris Johnson, that's the one. Boris Johnson. Jump him outside his house. Yeah.
I have a think, what can we do in our day-to-day lives to help? Like what?
Shop from charity shops.
Yes.
There we go.
Second-hand clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second-hand clothing. What else?
It's hilarious.
Turn the lights off.
Turn the lights off. Come on, let's think deeper.
Use our bikes instead of like cars and public transport. You should cycle instead of like.
Cycling's good. What else? Come on, keep going. What about what we eat?
Go vegan.
Go vegan.
Just kidding. I love meat. I love food. I love the environment, but I don't love the environment that much.
So you think the taste of something is worth the destruction it causes?
Yeah, I'll be dead one day.
So why are you here with that logic then?
Because I still want to save the environment. I just like.
You are here.
I
You're
like.
on my head.
I want to go eat Subway. We're on the way to Subway actually.
So do a vegan sandwich in Subway.
Yeah, but it's not as good as the steak and cheese.
What about the environmental impact?
Well, the steak and cheese is already there, so I mean, me not eating it isn't going to stop them.
But so's the plastic in the shelves and the diesel in the cars.
If I was a cow and I died, I would want someone to enjoy my dead remains.
And what about the plastic? It's been made, should we still buy it?
Yeah. I don't want any plastic in my Chipotle sandwich, that'd be really gross. I hope they don't put that in there, yeah.
What about dead animal? That's fine in the Chipotle sandwich?
Hell yeah, that's delicious.
Do you not think there's a certain hypocrisy to being here for the environment, but making such a point? It's not that, and I'm not here to say that if you're not vegan, you're not an environmentalist. But I think it was interesting that when I mentioned it, a cow would eat you.
Well, I would
If it
argue
was a big enough cow, it could definitely eat me.
So let's kill them all then.
Humongous cow we're talking about here. Hypothetical cow.
Friendly cows.
Aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, there are big cows. Cow tipping, like...
What about dogs? Dogs sometimes eat us. Should we kill them?
Never eat a dog. Ever. That's not me.
For the Chinese.
But what's the difference? What's the difference between eating a cow and eating a dog?
Dogs are my friends. I've never been a friend with a cow.
But you could be.
No, they.
We could be friends with cows.
So, how many cows are you friends with, sir?
I don't have to be friends with someone not want to hurt them, right? Like I'm not friends with you guys, but I won't want to hurt you guys either.
Why not? So you're saying that a cow has the same value as a human being?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying a cow's value of life is higher than the value of taste pleasure that we get from consuming them.
Right, but.
And the environmental cost of raising them and killing them is higher than the enjoyment we get from consuming
That does
them.
produce a lot of pollution to the air, but...
It is very unfair. I've seen a lot of videos of how cows are treated, and it is bad, I get that. But I feel like me not eating it wouldn't stop it. And obviously I disagree with it, but I wouldn't say it's hypocritical to come here and do that, because it is kind of hard. You can't just do everything.
Where can we find protein other than meat? For my own knowledge.
Well, how do the cows get the protein?
I don't know.
From plants.
Plants. So what plants do I need to eat?
Every food has carbohydrates, protein and fat in varying amounts, right? So plant-based sources like soy, right? Or nuts or seeds or grains, legumes, vegetables. But there's plenty of other options as well.
You can have rice milk.
Rice milk? Or oat milk or something?
Do they milk each bit of rice?
No, have you tried rice milk? I've had it. It's actually quite nice. I can't lie.
How does rice have milk?
No, it's to do with how it's processed, right? So with water and such. But I don't want to keep you because I appreciate it. And I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't be here and that you're a hypocrite necessarily. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying that the thing that we can have a direct impact over on our day-to-day lives is what we consume. Now, if we protest to our governments, they might not listen to us. But if we take action in our day-to-day lives, we're still doing something important. And so that could be a variety of things, not buying plastic, not flying, and also being vegan. So I just say, give it a go, right? And when you're in Subway, try the vegan sandwich. You never know. You never know.
I will not do that, but thank you for the suggestion.
Well, the environment is crying over that decision. See you later, guys.
If you ever meet the environment, tell them I'm really sorry.
I'm sorry.
I love meat.
I see your sign. It says that you're really annoyed. And so tell me, why is it that you're here today?
Well, I'm here today because the evidence is clear. We know that there's a problem, and essentially there's not enough being done. It's been far too long, and enough is enough, basically. We're all pissed off.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And so we can protest the governments, we can demand systematic change, and that's what we should be doing. That's why we're here. What else can we do in our day-to-day lives to help combat climate change for people who might be interested?
Well, I think day to day, the most important thing is consumer choice. You vote with your money, so every dollar you spend, always keep the environment in mind.
We really have to do something. I've got actually a friend who works in climate crisis. Like she goes around the world to the places where the latest disaster has happened. And she said it's such rubbish that we're all talking about things like Brexit and Trump's wall. And she said that's nothing compared to what's really happening with the climate. You know, countries are going to disappear, millions are going to die. So, you know, that's really got to be our focus.
Very nice, they're impressive. And so the question that I'm asking people, and it is a relatively obvious question, of course, is why are you here today?
So I hope that everyone here is here for the same reason, pretty much, which is to backward cog turn what's happening to our planet by taking action. And actually taking action rather than just talking about it.
I like that. And same for you?
Yeah, same. I think we need to stick together completely, and the government need to do something about what's going on. Absolutely. And no one's alone in this. We need to stand together.
Great, absolutely. And so we use phrases like take action. So I'm wondering, what does taking action look like?
Well, we're wearing bicycles on our heads.
That's a start.
We're taking action.
Our climate can't keep going on how it is.
No, that's right.
Yeah, we want to see change.
And it's the world that we will be like brought into, you know, so it directly affects us.
I want kids, do I want to bring them into a world like this at the moment?
Right.
Probably not.
No, exactly.
So
we use the word change a lot, climate change, but also we want change. And so what kind of change are we looking for?
A drastic change.
What does that look like?
I'm not sure what it looks like.
Reduction of the use of fossil fuels.
For
cleaner, renewable energy.
It's a good answer. I like that one.
Sustainability, cleaner air.
That's a bit of like a buzzword, isn't it? What does it mean to be like living sustainably?
Oh God, you're really testing me now. I just feel like being more sustainable is just like everybody doing their part for a better environment in general. Everything being more for like a big difference.
Okay. And so what sort of purchases should we be looking to make then, do you think?
Certainly buy local. If you buy meat, make sure it's organic, make sure it's free range and so forth, and local if possible. Shift your diet if you can. Look for green labels and those sorts of things. Yeah,
absolutely. So we said about meat. Is it meat something you consume? You said about shifting diet. Are you plant-based or vegan or anything?
No, I'm a meat consumer, but I reduce my meat consumption. So I probably eat about 25% of the meat that I would have about 5 years ago. So I haven't fully transitioned, but reduction is a big part of it, and also choosing what kinds of meats I'm eating, where I'm getting it from as well.
Give your clothes away.
That's great.
Don't buy fast fashion. It's ridiculous. It's ruining a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we're talking about consumer choices as well, aren't we? So we're talking about being here today to demand system change from our politicians, but we could also look at consumer choices and individual choices as well. What does doing our part look like? What does that involve?
Cycling, like more sustainable clothing.
Cycling if you can.
Cycling.
Instead.
Less pollution. Less plastic.
Plastic. What else?
What else
can we do?
What else can we do?
Good question.
We use things like I mean, for instance, us youngsters like to buy a lot of clothes. Why don't chuck them back to people who can else use them?
So we've got cycling, yes, less plastic, charity shops, second-hand clothes, that kind of thing. Really great stuff. What else? Can we keep thinking? What else? What about
renewable energy sources?
So
wind, waves,
solar panels.
So we're looking at maybe subsidising renewable energy rather than fossil fuels. That would be a great thing that our government can do. Let's think more personally. What do we do every single day that has an impact?
Driving.
Driving? I mean, I don't drive every day.
Well, I don't drive
in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't mean that in a way like I don't drive everywhere. You're rubbish. No, that's not what I meant. But I mean, like, we don't all drive everywhere. But there's something that we all have to do every day, several times.
Go to the toilet.
I mean, that is something.
Showers rather than baths.
Showers rather than baths. Let's keep going. Even more obvious. That's. We're getting really. What's the word? I'm thinking bigger scale. Bigger. Foods. I'm talking about food.
We can grow our own food.
Vegetarian.
Why
maybe.
vegetarian?
Or just like good meat, like good meat.
Do you think veganism is like a long-term goal?
I would say, as a society, perhaps. I don't know yet. I don't know what the future is going to hold for the human race. For me personally, veganism isn't a future goal, but it may come to that point as a species at some point.
I think that's an interesting question, isn't it? It's like, how far do we take things that help in a way? And we acknowledge that, consuming animal products has a negative impact on the environment. But a lot of the time we stop from taking it all the way. What would stop you from taking it all the way? What holds you back, do you think?
A lot of it for me is culture and the way I've been raised, I suppose. So it has been difficult to sort of pull myself away. A simple example is an ex-girlfriend of mine. She was vegetarian, and my grandma would basically refuse to cook vegetarian dishes or versions of dishes when she was over. So those sorts of sort of ingrained ideas have made it challenging.
I don't eat meat, but if you do, that'd be a good thing to stop doing. I try and use the market instead of the supermarket because that's less plastic. But I actually think it's that we should have like a checklist of immediate behavioural change.
You said you don't eat meat. Are you completely plant-based vegan, or are you just more veggie?
We just eat fish. Like make it like about 2 times a week, and occasionally a bit of chicken, free range. But they do eat eggs. The kids just don't want to know yet about. But we're getting there as a family. It's a process, and it's also a question of me learning how to cook better without those very easy ingredients.
Right, it's a convenience thing, isn't it? But do you think that veganism is something that you'll look towards in the future again?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say that more than half our week is vegan, and then the other half isn't. It's got cheese and eggs.
For anyone watching at home, can you give them some specific pointers of what they can do in their lives to help?
Yeah, I guess stop eating meat if you can, and try and cut out things like dairy. Try not to fly if you can take other modes of transport. Look at who your electricity supplier is and try and go for a renewable supplier if you can do.
On the butchers instead of like globally sourced,
Where does butcher meat come from?
I mean, we live rurally. We live in Suffolk, so we try and buy stuff that's local to us instead of mass marketed meat, which is better for the environment.
Red meat.
Why no red meat?
Because cows produce a lot of methane, which accelerates the greenhouse effect and adds holes in our ozone layer.
The ozone, So ruminants, they produce methane. They also defecate a lot, so that's nitrous oxide. And what else? They take up a lot of land. They use a lot of resources. What about, say, chickens? Is chicken farming environmentally sustainable?
I think if it's an environmentally sustainable farm, then I think it's okay.
So what's the crux? So let's say we put the animals free range. What does that mean they have more of?
Land.
Do you think that the culture and the way we've raised should dictate how we live, or should we look for other answers to decide our lifestyle choices?
Oh no, absolutely. We need to make changes, and we need to look for solutions. But those are just some of the barriers as to why changes can be slow. Yeah,
absolutely. And there are certain barriers, definitely barriers in place. We look at plastic use. Again, it's a convenience, it's a culture thing. We look at flying, we look at all these different things. For me, the reason I ask about veganism is because it's been proven to be the single simplest thing that we can do that has the biggest impact. And it's also one of the easiest things that we can do as well. And so I'm really glad that you're really annoyed. And I think I'm really annoyed too, and so I'm hoping that maybe together as a collective we can make those decisions that maybe contradict culture, that may be difficult, but in the long run are necessary and also help the most as well. Veganism being one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Yeah, cheers.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.
See you later. And so I guess the crux is we say no red meat, but we also say we don't want to eat animals that are factory farmed. But the reason we factory farm is because they use less resources and use less land and grow to slaughter age quicker. So it's more sustainable to factory farm, but it's also cruel, isn't it? Yeah. So what about, say, veganism? Is that something any of you would try?
I have tried veganism.
You've dabbled?
I don't really eat dairy that much. It's more like meats and stuff, which I find difficult.
It's very expensive to be a vegan.
Yeah,
if you don't, I'm very bad with my time organisational skills. And I can't cook for shit. So it's very expensive then.
Also, I just feel like if you go into supermarkets, the stuff that is organic and free range and more like better for the environment is always more expensive. So that's what kind of puts people off, I think, a bit. And I don't know, like obviously there's nothing really we can do about the prices, but if more people started buying it, then maybe it would.
I think you're absolutely right. Price is a factor, and I won't keep you for much longer. It depends what we're buying, obviously. You know, we can buy fruits and vegetables that are seasonal, are cheapest, are also better for the environment. We can buy grains, legumes, potatoes, rice, all these kind of things which are a lot cheaper. But you raise a good point, and it's all about where we distribute money in subsidies. So like I said before about subsidising renewable energy, if we subsidised plant-based food rather than animal-based food, the prices of things would change, and all of a sudden the price of animal products would be sky high, and even say
and the demand for those sorts of products will definitely increase because which is what we want to be doing, really.
Exactly. We want to be increasing, as we said the word, sustainable foods, right? Sustainability. And one of the things that we can be most sustainable is in what we buy 3 times a day. Last thing, a study by the University of Oxford said the single simplest thing that we can do to impact or to have a lower impact on the environment was to live vegan. So maybe something to consider.
Yeah. We can maybe do like 1 week vegan, 1 week not, 1 week vegan, 1 week not.
And then exactly. And then every week vegan.
Yeah.
No, but it's wonderful talking to you, and I really appreciate it, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for being here, guys. I can write down where it's going if you want.
Oh, yeah.
I have a YouTube channel, so let me write down for you.
Okay.
Is veganism something you'd ever be tempted to try?
I'm a vegetarian. I think that it's as important to buy sustainably and think about what you eat as it is to cut out all parts of that diet, but that's obviously a bigger conversation to engage in.
Yeah, exactly. It's about education, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that when we look at plant-based foods, we should look at origin as well. I think there can be a misconception that if something's vegan, it must be good for the environment. Of course, that's not always true. So we should look at origins, where these products, coming from. Can we buy more local, seasonal, plant-based foods as well?
I think it's also not just about it's about the people chain as well. So, for example, like the kind of avocado mafia happening in Mexico at the moment, it's not just the knock-on effect of what's good for us or what's good for the planet directly. It's the chain, like fair trade, of like the whole process to bring that food from source to table.
Absolutely, from source to table is absolutely right, which is kind of what I was trying to allude to. And so, in terms of education, this is the last thing I'll say. The University of Oxford released a study last year. It's a 5-year study, and it's the most comprehensive study to ever look at farming and the environment. Looked at 40,000 farms in 119 countries and analysed 90% of 40 foods, which represent 90% of all that we eat. And they said that going vegan is the single simplest thing that we can do in our day-to-day lives to have a positive impact on the planet. So make a bit of research and cutting down on lots of things and veganism. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, congratulations.
I appreciate it, guys, and I love your hats again.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
What else can you do?
I was just going to say talk to your friends and family, really. Get the message out there, talk to everyone, bang the drum, fly the flag, all of that.
That's great. I like those things. I'm a big advocate for veganism. I'm vegan myself, and I think it's one of the best things that we can do to help the environment. Are both of you guys interested in veganism? Would you go vegan, or...?
I'm veggie, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. Try to use soy milk when I can, but I can't resist a bit of cheese sometimes, so working on it.
And so I'm going to be awkward now and say, do you think that the cheese is worth the damage that it causes?
I don't think there is really an argument that you can justify it.
Yeah, you're right. Like it's kind of not on a global scale, but I think like it's important, I guess, for people to not feel like they have to be perfect. So although I think it's amazing for people to go vegan if they can, I think it is a case where whatever people can do to reduce it is great. So
I think that's a great point. I think in the environmental conversation, what often comes up is this: oh, you're a hypocrite because you fly, or blah blah, blah, or you use plastic. Then there is a lot of pressure for people who say they care about the environment to be perfect, and we can never be perfect. You're absolutely right about that. The difference I say with veganism is only because it has another victim involved, which is, we look at the animals as well. And that's why I think that being vegan is more than just about reducing. It's an imperative for the environment, but also for the animals as well. That's how I feel about it.
No, I think you are right, and I commend you for that. I'm working towards it. But
well, thank you so much for stopping, guys. I really appreciate the honesty and the conversation, and have a wonderful day. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much. Yeah, all right. Thank you.